Welcome back to a Windy City They Tan Watch, the channel where truth meets freedom, right here in the heart of Chicago. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to stay updated with our latest investigations, interviews, and insights. Your support fuels our fight for freedom and truth. So, let's dive into today's journey, armed with knowledge and the relentless spirit of the Windy City.
Hello everybody, WindyCityThetanWatch. It is Friday, the 14th of June. We are at about 1:45. I'm a little bit late coming in here. Sorry about that, folks. We're heading over to the org. Howdy, no one. Howdy, declared Dave. I've spent a little bit of time on the other channel. I would say there's less stress over in that spot. I just get to kind of walk around the city and show off all the awesome parts of it. So if you have any interest in seeing parts of the city, this week we've seen the rooftop garden at the old post office. So let me switch the camera around real quick. If we look over there, you see a very large building, and that building's like 13 or 14 stories tall. If you see the two vertical towers in the middle of the building, just to the left of the one most right, you're going to see a net there. That's actually a basketball court up there. Howdy, Pop Smurf. Hey, Fuzzy, Lady E. Howdy, Lisa's day off. So in this past week, we've walked down Milwaukee in Bucktown and Wicker Park. A lot of retail up there, interesting places. It's very homogeneous with ethnicity. It is not a Polish neighborhood, a Mexican neighborhood. It is just an everything neighborhood up there. And then we saw Old Town. Old Town started off as kind of where the artists and the, I'll say hippie, but I kind of mean that the people just created stuff there in Old Town. And it's since become gentrified, so it's far too expensive for people who are up-and-coming artists. And we've seen Lincoln Park, and this morning we took a walk through the Gold Coast here in Chicago. And now, we're going to protest Scientology. I'm going to see if I can collect some flyers. Now, I will tell you that on Tuesday, I think Tuesday was the last day I was here. On Tuesday, Chad was able to walk 2 people past me. And it was that point I finally decided I need paperwork. And so I did go ahead and order some business cards. They're the blue business cards that I would have seen on the post. And those, the way that I look at it is I'm trying to give them some information while they're on the street. And then also there's a QR code that's going to send them to my website where you're going to see more stories about Lisa McPherson and Miriam Francis, the Chase financial fraud, all of those elements. Kind of got it's a beautiful day here, mid 80s, which quite honestly is very warm. I'm really hoping that we'll have some shade from the tall buildings. Howdy, Chris. Howdy, Nancy Alley. Everybody welcome Nancy as the newest member of our mod crew. And she's been helping me out a lot on the Windy Wanders the City channel as well. Really appreciate that. We'll take a peek down the alley, and if there's no activity, we'll head straight up front, and we'll get those blinds closed up. And I need to tighten up my message for the people that, like I said, Chad's walked 2 people past me, and they just haven't really cared at all about the crimes of Scientology. Howdy, Never In. Howdy, Leslie. I just want to fix the messaging on that. I'm going to say, all you car and motorcycle buffs, and I've been a motorcyclist for quite some time, every time you're in a bridge or underneath the bridge, you have to pull the clutch and rev the engine, don't you? Just to get that vibration off the walls. Howdy, Corn. Welcome in. Hey, Bridge. So we're coming up on the alley. No real activity back here. Now, there is a pallet or something, but that's up here near this end. I don't think that's anything significant. Yeah, there's no real activity down there. It's 1:53, so everybody should be back from lunch. And if they are doing body routing and sidewalk recruiting, it should be underway. We'll check and see if they're doing it on this street. Hey, Queen Suki. You can see it's a populated street here today, right? We're following a family of, well, there's 4 people that just ahead of me. We passed 4 people. I can see that the doors are open. I'm not seeing any uniforms on either side of the street. I'll tell you that my partner has been down here a couple of times this week, and they described for me, hey, there was a guy out there with a red T-shirt and a blue sports coat. And I was like, yeah, is he a little heavier set? Yeah, and I said, oh, yep, that's Chad. But we know Chad. Yep, so the door is open here. Howdy, Sally. Thanks for coming in. So we've got the door open. Let's see if we can get the blinds closed. There's some construction going on down the street. Nobody on this aisle. So this aisle is empty all the way down. I don't have Anastasia here. There are 2 new people at the desk. Hey, Sharon H. Thank you so much for coming a member. I truly appreciate that. So, right, we got to close up the church because the church has to work in the shadow because it's a cult. Are you okay that women can't report abuses against them? Here's our man Chad coming down the street. Chad's got something with him. Don't know what it is, though. Thank you, Bridge. So they're smiley, right? That these 2 women are fairly smiley here today. What have we done for humanity today, Chad? Did we make some money for the cult? Yeah, Papa, it's actually kind of funny that there are times... Oh, sorry, I didn't see that. Chris, thank you so much. Wait, why doesn't that... Chris, thank you so much for becoming a member. There are days when I come here and it takes them a couple of minutes. Oh, there's something going on here. This might be for graduation, but can you see the balloons in the hallway there? There's white with polka dots, clear with polka dots, black. I think they're fresh balloons, and they're all the way up the staircase. So this has a beautiful stair rail. It's an old building, artistic old building. So I'm curious if that's for the graduation tonight, or if that's for tomorrow's Juneteenth celebration. Now, Chad had a clipboard with him. I could not see anything on the clipboard. I've seen him with flyers before. I have never seen him with that clipboard before. I don't know where he came from with that clipboard. He might have been behind me. He could have come. He could have been at any of the restaurants up here. I just didn't look in them when I came by. I love that I'm not making you dizzy. I'm going to just go to the back to see if Chad's going to try and go out the back. I will tell you that he did try that tactic on Tuesday. And by the way, folks, I can't remember if I was here on Monday or Tuesday, but the last time I was here, that's how he got out the back. And he walked down to Polk and was able to find others. I still don't know if he would be allowed to, now on his own personal time, maybe he's looking at the channel, but it's very unlikely that he would be able to monitor the channel in real time. Remember that most Scientologists have some form of a nanny bot on their computer and on their phones. So they would have been told under false pretenses that, oh, here's a thing that maybe it's an ad blocker, maybe they would have been told something. And at the end of the day, what it is it's trying to hide words like Scientology and some, Mark Bunker's name, Aaron's name, I'm sure is on there. Natalie's name is on there by now. But they're controlling the firewall to disallow certain search terms and certain page returns to be created. So nothing out back yet. You know what? While I'm over here, let's get over to Dearborn real quick. See if anybody's heading over there. Papa's using all of the emojis. And I gifted that, the Chadwick emoji, I gifted over to Nance, so Nance has that on her channel as well. I will say it would be a miserable day to be a body router. And the reason I'm saying that is that it's 85 degrees out here and straight up sun. And more often than not, like Chad always now he's been wearing that t-shirt, which by the way, he's either washing that t-shirt daily or he's been wearing that t-shirt for quite some time. But he's been wearing the Dianetics red t-shirt and his sports coat. And that's got to be warm out here. We're just going to head over to Dearborn real quick, see if we can find any evidence of the body routers. There is a Cubs game today, so high likelihood that would be a place where they would station some body routers. That's just too far away for me to kind of get to on foot. I want to say thank you to Aaron for continuing to help Natalie and keep the recap crew going. I did see in that chat, hey, Aaron, can we wake up a little bit earlier? You're kind of killing our schedule. But again, very generous of him to help out. Nancy's got other things that she's got to attend to. Cubs, I'm going to tell you that I send, I would say half of the clips that I send to Nancy are not my channel. I want all of, I've been very good about my actions and everything I've always said. I want all of these channels to grow. I don't want a bigger part of the pie. I want the pie to be massive. And I want us to keep on growing this pie. This has been out for some time, and it's a fundamentalist Christian group that's somewhere on this street. Um, I'm not overly concerned about that. It's not the battle that I'm fighting right now. I'll say that there's somebody up here in tie-dye with chalk. I'm like, wait, this looks like something Corn would be doing. And I mean that in the nicest way. They're just drawing some buildings on the bricks here. Yeah, I saw that we crushed the GoFundMe. That doesn't mean that you have to stop donating. If you have the means and you have the spirit, please help her out. Big fan of, I don't know if everybody's been watching, but let's be honest, Corn, that would have been your outfit, and that is your writing utensil. I'm a big fan of Ono Nora. I love her sense of humor, and I love how she's been upgrading that studio. It looks awesome to see what's going on in her garage. Yep. We're still not seeing anything here. I'm going to head back over to the org just to see if anybody's trying to slide out. Oops. We're heading down Polk back to Clark Street. Clark's where the org's at. Remember, 650 South Clark in Chicago's Printers Row. I'm sure we've had more of the college students moving in. I'm going to hit the street just in case half hour's playing music loud. Where we saw that young woman in the tie-dye and using the chalk, it's the Printers Row Park, and that is where the farmers market is, and we've caught flyers in that space before. This past weekend or 2 weeks ago, we collected 4 or 5 Way to Happiness flyers down there. I'm a big fan of the barley sodas, Papa and Cubs. I will say this, if you ever want to go to a ballpark and partake with barley soda, you might want to take out a second mortgage. You get the $36 six-pack there. And one of the fun things, so Cubs' org that he protests is Boston, and it's right there on Alston where the Green Line takes the turn towards Boston, away from Boston University towards Boston College. But he's not too far away from Fenway there. And I think that Fenway now has an open concourse on that street. So up at Wrigley, Sheffield has an open concourse. So it's a pedestrian street. It's definitely a pedestrian street on Cubs days, but I think it's a full-time pedestrian street now. Yeah, you know that Wrigley is a terrible place to watch a game, but it's a great place to be. So it's not a great fans ballpark. It's just awesome being in a ballpark that's that old. I love being up there. I once worked for a company that we had a skybox there, and I was there. This is my my claim to fame with rock stars. We were in the skybox, and I had to go to the restroom, and in the restroom was one Eddie Vedder. Now, I thought that was awesome. The one thing I will say is that Eddie Vedder violated guy code. He talked in the bathroom. So if I look up, we've got the shades pulled on the second floor as well. Fairly common, and I'm going to guess that, all right, up until now, the sun's been beaten in there pretty well. The sun is now being reflected off of the imprint building back at us. So even though the sun is behind the building, the sun is shining on the building because it reflects off the imprint and comes back. I agree. He threw out the first ball that day, too. And by the way, that might only be my guy code, but typically I don't talk to strangers in the men's room. I will say all bets are off when you've been imbibing. Let me head up to the alley again. It's hard to tell whether or not it's truthful or not, but there is a high gloss printout that Battle Creek is going to have a grand opening this weekend. On June 15th, which is this weekend, they're going to have the Juneteenth celebration here in Chicago, but Battle Creek is opening its Ideal org. What may be happening is that these people might be en route to Battle Creek right now, because we know that none of these orgs have been able to create the staff they need on their own to do it. I did see that. I saw both of you in there. I love that, the venue at Millennium Park. It's one of those great things that we don't have as many anymore. So there used to be Alpine Valley and there used to be Poplar Creek, where part of the venue is ticketed seats, and then part of the venue is open grass, and you get to sit wherever you want to. Yeah, you know what? Something is really suspect here. It's hard for me to understand why they would have gone to the lengths to print that flyer, and put on there, right, that Joe Cicala, the civilization builder, I think that is what they called him, that he's not there. And it just seems odd that if the building's not ready, what are they going to open? It might be a red herring to try to get people out of Chicago. Twyla, this is another one that just boggles the mind, right? The absolute racism from the founder of this church, it's off the charts. And by the way, it is not just people of color that are black. It's the Asian population, the African continent. He was terribly dismissive of that. There's no way in the world that those people could get their act together, right? He liked South Africa. I'm not going to say that he was pro-apartheid. I'm going to say that he was pro whatever government would listen to him, and the apartheid government would listen to him. Now, when the apartheid government wouldn't go his way, he would rant against apartheid as well. But for the most part, it's just ridiculous how racist this organization is. And it's odd because you've got people like Jesse Prince, who at one point in time, Jesse Prince? Yeah, Jesse Prince. At one time was, what, second or third in the org? There's absolutely African Americans here at the org in Chicago. Now, some of them are both Scientologists and Nation of Islam. But there are people of color in here. And people of color are people that L. Ron Hubbard said are of degraded character, right? They're degraded beings. All right, if you've got the VA coming to visit you, you better go see them. I know that it can be a challenge to get time with on their calendar. I'm going to push through all the way to State Street this time. Again, there's no activity at the org itself. The shades are pulled. We're able to get those pulled down quickly after we arrived. We saw Chadwick go in. We saw, I don't think it was a public. The woman in blue, she walked across the street from where the imprint is. I did not see her walk out of the imprint, so I have no idea who or where she came from. But ooh, that'd be interesting. If you could mail that to me, I'd love to watch it. This morning we walked down Astor from Lincoln Park all the way down to the Gold Coast, or to Division Street in the Gold Coast. We actually walked all the way down to a little bit past Oak Street. By the way, if anybody wants a Bentley, there were plenty in the showroom. I'm holding the camera steady, but I am kind of swiveling my head back and forth just to see if I can find anybody in uniform, and definitely not seeing anybody. Walking past Jones College Prep, right? One of the Magnate schools. It's a high school. Now it's probably a month ago, right, that we saw the body routers handing out Way to Happiness here. The two women of European descent. Somebody's giving some traffic instructions in a rather vulgar tone. Hopefully the microphone was able to protect you from that. That driver was not pleasant. Corn, I've received a text. Thank you. This is neat. I don't know if it's new up there, but in that artwork, the knotted ball of rope, it's basically a heart. It's very subtle, but it's basically a heart up there. Last weekend was the Blues Fest. We would have seen one of Buddy Guy's last performances. Not sure if Muddy Waters is in town as well. Folks, if you didn't have the opportunity, and we had a bit of it was on Natalie's show this afternoon, Declared Dave has the actual software that the personality test is run on, and that's how he was able to get those results. But he showed going through the personality test, and he showed how once you take it, you get the little graph out, and the computer gives you the talking points to explain to your victim why they've got so many ruins and how Scientology can help them. if you didn't get a chance to see that, I would definitely encourage you to head back over there and watch that. I think this weekend's going to be very, very busy. We've got Father's Day, potentially Battle Creek, likely Juneteenth here. I believe that those balloons that were inside the org's front door were for the Juneteenth celebration. That is great news, Chris. I'll say that I think that the government is typically overwhelmed by the amount of places where it needs to apply help. I think that's a bad excuse for them. That people who volunteered or chose to stick up and join the military to protect the country, they should be well taken care of. I'm glad the VA came through for you. I'm sad that it was a 7-year wait to get the VA to come through for you. I had client meetings today, so I've got long pants on today. It is warm out here. Just had a helicopter go over the top. Very likely nothing really. It's probably a traffic copter, but there's a helicopter going almost straight down Clark Street. Looking north, I'm on Imprint side of the street, and I don't really see anything there. Once we cross, we'll push through to the alley to see if there's anything going on there. Yeah, thank you, Fuzzy. Yep. Thank you, Chris, for your service. This morning when I was on my walk of the Gold Coast, saw a couple of veterans from many days gone by. They were long in the tooth and had gray beards, but I did thank them for their service. I always think about that, right? The idea that an 18, 19-year-old joins the service, decides to pick up a gun to defend the country, and I know that there are other ways to serve in the service, and is shipped overseas. Somebody at the top of the alley, they've got shorts on, so it's highly unlikely that it's a Scientologist. So there was a time where Navy Pier was where that was, but I'm going to say that was way long ago. Was it up at Great Lakes Naval, up on the north side of Chicago? Which I think the town that surrounds that is called North Chicago, but it is way, way north of Chicago. We're heading down the alley. I can see a chain hanging off the side of this dumpster. Yeah, I imagine so, Chris. So the Scientology dumpster is now on the end. The chain's hanging here. It's not in a lock. Well, the chain is locked, but it's not locking the top down. If we look inside there, there's some cardboard. There's some heavy garbage. I'm not willing to dumpster dive. I think that they're onto our tactics, and they've been shredding pretty diligently. The building is almost entirely weathered in. It looks like just the top floor is missing its outside sheeting. Here we see the Scientology back door. They're not a tidy group here, so there's some garbage there on the back door. And then the single door, little camera up top, and the rolling door. But again, as I've said many times, this has never been opened. Howdy, Jen. Got a car coming down the street. See if there's anything interesting in here. Looked to be just a college student. Folks, I'm absolutely fine if you have biases and problems with people. You don't have to announce you're leaving. Feel free to leave on your own. And yes, I'm disappointed that that activity is still taking place in the background, that people can't get together and protest. Heading back up to the front of the org. Something's going on. It might just be that they painted here, but the Duncan looks different. I think they just painted the back wall. There used to be art on that back wall. Oh, and you can't see anything I'm talking about. But it's just a flat peach or orange on that back wall now. And I appreciate that, folks. I just want to tell everybody that I hope you understand I really have a single purpose to be out here. And if you can be with me on it, that's great. If you can't, I understand. But I understand you're allowed to have that position. I won't say that I understand your thought process. Just kind of keeping it off of the neighborhood folks as they come by. So, show of hands, who sees me being able to sit here and enjoy a cigarette, minus the fact that you would never see me enjoying a cigarette? 2:30. I'm trying to figure out where everybody is at. I'm not seeing a lot of activity here. Again, I do have a suspicion that there are people that might be out in Battle Creek. I did get out here later than usual, so I wouldn't have seen people returning from lunch. Tomorrow, I do want to do a foundation org count, so I plan on getting here rather early. I've then got, I've got some personal family things that I'm going to take care of in the afternoon, but in the morning, I want to come here and just get a count of all the foundation. Yes, please, bring me some ice cream. A lot of pedestrians out here, but nobody really, there's no interest in Scientology today, which is great. Take another shot at the alley. I don't know, so, right, Thursdays at 2 is when stats are due, right? And if they made their stats, do they rest on their laurels? So is today an easy day for them? I mean, there could be 1,000 reasons why it's so quiet here today. One could be that, A, they're out someplace else, right? They might be at the Cubs game. They might be at train stations elsewhere. They might be up at Battle Creek. Maybe they just did so well on their stats that they can kind of rest today. I will tell you that that's a really bad idea. Yeah, that's true, Susan. That usually, if I'm coming here on a Friday, it's more in the 5 o'clock hour when I think the ceremony is going on. So the car further down is the car that I passed when I walked down the alley. There's a Jeep at the far end, but again, that's somebody who's doing residential. There's residents at both the buildings behind that are that. Oops. Yeah, and we still struggle, right? Are there Sea Org people here? Are they staff member? I'm going to tell you that a lot of the people that I know by name, they're actually staff. They're not Sea Org. But that doesn't mean that there aren't some Sea Org people on loan, right? Because they definitely didn't have enough people when this org opened to staff the entire org. Similar to the Columbus story, right? And Columbus never recovered from it. So Columbus, Ohio is an org that we know is highly staffed by Sea Org people. How have you helped human rights today, Chad? So, Dianetics co-auditor is the back of the clipboard. I'm going to let it make a little space because I want to, I've got some hypothesis here. Is it now possible that what they're doing is they're talking to people and just trying to get names and phone numbers so that they can contact them behind the scenes or out of the splash radius of this? Love that. Thanks, Neverin. So the back of that clipboard, it's well worn, but it said Dianetics and co-auditor, which I don't understand the relationship between Dianetics and co-auditing. That I don't think you get audited on the book Dianetics, or I'm unaware. If you get Patrick will have to help me out on that. Now, I am definitely curious as to what that bulletin board is or clipboard is, and I do want to follow him until he makes contact with somebody to see if I can kind of decipher why he's out and about with that. He did try to wave stop the person that was in the gray Dickie uniform with their name on it. What other ideas do we have? Because on the clipboard itself is just a piece of paper. I can't tell if it's got lines, or I can't tell if there's any writing on it, or if there's any words on it. But curious to see where he's headed. So ahead of us is Chad Olson. He is a staff member at the Chicago org. He is also an employee of Dream Exchange. Dream Exchange is the minority-owned venture capital exchange run by Joe Cicala Jr. Joe Cicala Jr. is the civilization builder that got called out and is headed up to Battle Creek for their grand opening. He is also the father of Joe Cicala III, who is the executive director of this organization. So all of Joe Cicala's children work here. Joe Cicala's daughter-in-law works here. Crystal Ehrlich. Jessica works here. Works at Dream Exchange and is also on staff. There's Akila or Ilika. Okay, helpful. Now he might head down into the train station now, but we'll see. And I am following him specifically because he's got a Dianetics advertisement with him. So he was about to go into the train station, but he looked back. Yeah, I do want to remind people that every one of these people is a victim. And I do believe they believe in what they're doing. Now, we've heard it said a lot, and I don't care if the number is 98 and 2% or 99 and 1% or 97 and 3%. The absolute vast majority of these people are good people. They're true believers in what's going on inside the cult, or at least they're willing to continue the belief in there. They think they are saving the world. And then there's a small percentage of these people that are just evil incarnate, right? The people that try to figure out how not to have a conscience so they can make decisions that affect people's lives and never think twice about it. Sleep like a baby, right? We are not against Scientologists. We are against Scientology. And by the way, I shouldn't speak for everybody like that. I am not against Scientologists. I'm against Scientology. What I think I might do tomorrow is um, bring out my actual um, wildlife camera so that I can get better range and figure out what's going on with this new clipboard strategy. Yeah, that's my first thought. That's exactly what I would have said it is. And is it a nefarious or an illegitimate way to get names on, whether or not it's names to put on a calling list or a mailing list, or if it's names to, if people aren't reading whatever it is, and is it uh, a petition against protesters, right, or something of that nature, where they're trying to create an action with public signatures. I kind of get halfway across here. A lot of traffic today. So Chad's now on Wabash. He is not one of the people that tries to outrun me, but he seems very persistent today to be out and about. And we're just wandering this great city. Yep, I it's something in that range. I agree 100%. Sorry, we just had the train go over top. I absolutely do believe that it is some form of how do I get names, and it's maybe the hey, can we call you type thing, and then that way they can do the sell over the phone or via email, something of that nature. He has ducked in somewhere. I'll walk up to Michigan and then come back. Again, I get a little bit more leery of. Well, it depends. If I stay standing up, we have seen my crash and burn. Well, actually, you didn't see the crash and burn. You saw the, hey, why is the street coming up with the camera so quickly? So at the corner there is the Dunkin' Donuts where the redhead kind of ducked in last time. I keep walking up here, see if he might have slid into Congress or the Blackstone Hotel here. Yeah, one of those things that I have said is if they leave the flyers at home, I won't follow them, that I'm not following the person, I'm following the flyer. I just want everybody to know that that clipboard is every bit of flyer to me right now. I'm unaware of what it is, and I am assuming that it is some form of propaganda. So I just walked past the Blackstone, and that's where a couple of weeks ago, right, we saw the valet come out and say that Scientology has been down here, and they'll do things like slip $5 into a flyer when they're handing them out. I don't think that's a true statement. Yeah, we're not seeing him here. So I think on Wabash, he went into one of the restaurants to kind of outwait me. I would be absolutely astounded if Scientology was going to spend $5 on a potential candidate. And thank you, Queen Suki. I appreciate that. Now I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and head back to the org to see if he's trying to drag somebody back. And again, when I drag in a very figurative way, right, to handhold somebody and body route them back to the org if he does make contact with them. Hey, Israel. Oops, sorry. Oh, I'm failing at tapping today. How are you doing? There is a Cubs game today, so I wonder if they're going to try and be up at the Cubs game. I'm going to walk north on Wabash. Just want to see if he did duck in somebody or somewhere and pops his head back out, or if I can look in one of the retail spots and see it. Okay, folks, I've seen this a couple of times now. It's insomnia cookies. How many of us, I don't get this. If I've been out after the bar and having barley sodas, I want to go get tacos or burritos. How many of you go get cookies after you've been out late at night? But there's a whole chain of it called insomnia cookies. Great to hear, Israel. I'm looking into the retail spaces here just to see if I can catch back on where he might be at. Just went past the Indian restaurant, and the wait staff are lying down taking a nap on the benches before hopefully getting a rest before their dinner rush. That's right. Thanks, SPTV. Welcome in. Again, one of my favorite places to get a haircut. It's an experience. Look at the tilt of this train. I tried to cover the mic on that, but that train just tilts like crazy when it goes here. It is unnerving when it has to stop on that curve. I'll walk. There's a bunch of cars, so I'll just walk all the way to the light here. Maybe what the issue is, it's that the cookies can't sleep. Head back to the org. Let's make sure that those blinds are still shut. Not sure if we'll see Chad come back. If you'll notice, Chad's response was that he's done nothing for humanity or for the community today. Oh no! Sorry, little dog was off his leash. And again, by the way, folks, I'm a big dog lover. Please don't leave your dog off a leash. I know you think you can control them, but that was just an example of somebody who couldn't control their dog. And even though you think your dog is friendly, other people might have been traumatized by dogs before. And you don't get to impose upon them that they shouldn't be afraid of your dog. Now, again, I love dogs. It's safer for dogs to be on leashes than it is to be off leash. You know what? I might go check into a Holiday Inn Express tonight so that I can figure out the answer. And look, an inside joke inside of an inside joke. Folks, last night I was also out trying to see if I could do some cop watching. You know, Joe Cool gave me some tips, trying to learn a little bit, see if there's anything there. I mostly want to be in this first district because I want to be able to create the ledger of how corrupt the cops in this district are. Especially when it comes to their favorable treatment of Scientology. Can't get anything past Mr. Skinner. Here we've got a staff member coming up the street. Let's see if he keeps coming up or if he's going to try to avoid the camera. I'll say it's a suited gentleman. If this may not be a staff member. But he is. Hey, how is Scientology going to celebrate Juneteenth? How is Scientology going to celebrate Juneteenth? He's one of our body routers before. We've seen him body routing. He was the one that tried to tell the other civilian while I was out following him that I was following him and that he was scared. And I went and talked to the person that he had contacted and said, listen, he's handing out propaganda for the cult of Scientology. That's the only reason I'm following him. He goes, oh, I get it. He just didn't want you following him. Yes. 420 has created a business again. Yeah, what were the original cookie recipes? That'd be interesting. So we've still got the shades down. nothing really going on here at the front. And SPTV, I'm looking for research assistants. Let me know if you're looking for a position. %, Patrick. All right, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pack up for a bit. I'm going to go grab myself some dinner. I might be back here tonight. I will definitely be back here tomorrow morning. And tomorrow morning it'll be slow. I'm going to be out here. I'm going to try to be out here by like 8 or 9 o'clock, just so I can do a head count. Now, it might not be a good head count because, again, if the people are out in Battle Creek, that number is going to be low. But it's also helpful for us to know if it is low, can we attribute it to Battle Creek? They have to have somebody here because they're doing the celebration for Juneteenth. Do we have some other, are there any other channels that are live right now? And folks, the reason that we do the room rates is really just to share this. Yeah, Chris, it's a big reason why I do this, right? You'll notice almost every stream, and we're going to go ahead, MD Media, almost every stream, there goes somebody leaving, right? She's the one that always tries that door, and it never works for her. The reason that I always come here is I want I want the doors to be closed and I want the blinds to be shut, because nobody is going to trust a cult who's trying to hide from the public, right? What are you trying to hide from here, folks? All right. Let's go see MD Media. I assume he's putting up posters somewhere in Hollywood. And let MD Media know you came from over here. Thank you, everybody. I am going to see you 100% tomorrow morning, possibly this evening. Thanks, everybody. Let's go see MD Media.